Alrighty. Shall we begin with those wonderful, wonderful announcements? Kundalini Yoga, Friday at
9
Oh,
o'clock.
wait.
9 o'clock.
Oh, wait.
Why does this seem so low? 9 o'clock.
I'm sure you will get, if we get past these announcements, you'll be able to share a lot of ahas. I promise. I promise. Yeah, we have a lot tonight, but a lot of good stuff. Good. Okay, Melissa and everybody. Not that I have an insecurity with respect, but I do. Okay, so Friday we have at what? Who I am? Yeah. But do you? That's the big question for tonight. Okay. Friday, once again, Kundalini Yoga at 9 a.m. to 10:15. And then these two are really important because there's nobody signed up on the back for either of these, and not just you guys. But the Flying Solo is an incredible, incredible evening. Not to ever be missed if you can't help it. I mean, if you can help it, please. But yeah, it's a free event. But what it is that we have a reception. It would really be nice to know, you know. It's okay. It's that announcer on Sundays. I'm trying to work with him, but he just, and he's not here tonight, so I can talk about him all night. That's true. So it's at 7 p.m. on October 18th, and it is just wonderful. There's 8 10-minute one-person shows, so it's really, really, the stuff in it is incredible. Friday. The 18th. No, Friday the 18th at 7 p.m. And then, if that wasn't enough, the next day in the morning is which you guys probably already know, is the 5 Steps to Freedom that the Revs and the practitioners are putting on. So if you want more information about that, Rev Diane will do it. But it's really important because we're really stepping up, letting people know really what spiritual mind treatment is. I think that there's still a lot of education to be done in that arena. And that's the 19th, 10 a.m. Come at 9:30 for a continental breakfast. And there you go. And what's that? Since we're doing it, is that what you're saying? So then a couple other things. In October, we have the Labyrinth Walk once again, October 22nd. If you haven't been to it, this whole place is transformed and it's wonderful. Melissa, you went last time, right? Yeah. That past 2 times. It's great. And that 6:30 to 8. And it's a Labyrinth Walk. And then, yeah, and then you guys could take these. Rita made these lovely little things, but I just like to remind you guys of that. And then the Spiritual Cinema this month, just so you'll know, that's on October 25th, a Friday also. We're doing a really special thing. We have the interview with Holland Taylor. I'm not sure if you guys know her, but Holland Taylor is the actress and playwright, and she also did, what was the one-person show that she did? Was so Anne, the story on Broadway, and she was also the gentleman. This one I can never. Yeah. The minute you see her on this thing,
The amazing part about her is what a metaphysician she is.
Absolutely.
And it's an incredible interview. And it's just really, she's amazing anyway.
And that is Spiritual Cinema. We're turning it October 25th, which is a Friday at 6:30. We've got lots of things going on.
After.
And then just for the ladies, well, hello, ladies. Rita is doing her improv, her spiritual improv. I like to call it spiritual, but actually it's just fun improv. For the ladies' evening that Rev Diane and Rev Rita are in charge of, and it is on Tuesday, October 29th, another 6:30 to 8, and you'll enjoy an evening of improv led by Rev Rita. Dress comfortably, she says, and laughs are guaranteed. And that is at 6:30. No men allowed. Okay. Here, everything's here at the center. So there's a lot of good, but like I said, take one of these home. These are good to kind of have around. Oh, look at you, Miss Organization. Thank you very much. Okay, now. Yes. So anyway, so let's just let today go, whatever has transpired up to this very moment, this brand new moment, and just settle in. Ah, let's just take some nice deep breaths. Just get comfortable. Just land right here at the center, right here in the quantum field, right here where good God, call it whatever you want, is present always. And what I know about this evening is it is already in motion, love in motion. And I know that everything that needs to be heard is heard. Everything that needs to be said is said. And everything that needs to be felt is felt in this timeless moment that is called now. So I'm so grateful for all these spiritual wonders that have entered these doors tonight. And I just say thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to just swim in this sea of receptivity this evening, from this moment to the next, as you go on and enjoy this meditation, this wonderful Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe, as he leads us in this meditation, as together we say, and so it is.
Take a moment and find your center. Inhale. Become aware of your breath. And exhale. And relax. It's time to be defined by a vision of the future instead of the memories of the past. And to move into a new state of being. And now, can you become aware of the space between your ears in space? And now, can you sense the space beyond your ears? In space. your attention to the space in the center of your throat. In space. And can you become aware of the energy of space around your throat, beyond your neck, in space. And now, can you rest your awareness in the space behind your breastbone, in space? And can you feel the volume of space beyond your shoulders, in space? And now, can you sense the space between your shoulders and the room you're in? In space. And can you become aware that you're aware in space? And now, what was that vision of the future that awaits you? be defined by that intention, and select that potential that already exists in the field. And allow that internal representation be where you're headed. Invest your energy into the future. And let the thought become the experience. And let the experience create the emotion. And can you teach your body emotionally how that future feels now? And move into a new state of being. Come on, open your heart and let your body respond to a new mind. And it's time to step in to that future now. What choices will you make today? What things will you do? What experiences await you? And how will they feel? Priming your brain and body into the future. Stay in the feeling. Now, it's time to remind yourself of who you no longer want to be. What thoughts will you become conscious of that will never slip by your awareness today? What choices will you not make? What behaviors will you no longer demonstrate? What experiences will you stay away from? And what emotions and feelings will you no longer embrace? It will cause you to return back to feeling like the familiar self. Become the observer from a greater level of mind. And now, finally, it's time, one more time, to invest your energy into the future, combining a clear intention with an elevated emotion. Come on, open your heart and change your energy. And when you change your energy, you change your life. For whatever you broadcast into the field is your experiment with destiny. Being defined by a vision of the future instead of the memory of the past. ahead of your time. And take your hand and place it over your heart. And in a moment, take a breath and have compassion and care and kindness towards your beautiful self. Giving thanks for a new life. And the longer you linger in gratitude, the more you draw your new life to you. And if in fact you emulated the divine today and made contact with it, that you ask for a sign from this consciousness, this loving intelligence, and that it bring it to you in a way that you least expect, that surprises you, and that it leaves no doubt that it came from this mind. And that you are inspired to do it again and again when it finds you in unexpected ways. And now bring your awareness back to a new body. To a new environment. And to a whole new time. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
And continuing in this wonderful space that has been set for us by Dr. Joe. What I know and recognize in this moment, that whatever has occurred up until this moment is always divinely connected. That there is no way to ever disconnect, but only to remember. And so what I know is that there is a remembrance happening right now, that I remember myself as who I truly am. And as I remember that, I remember who each and every one of us is in this room, tonight, in this moment. So I bless all of the experience of this meditation, knowing that it was individualized and yet always connected to the one source. And I know tonight is the night that just opens up more and more and more, because this quantum field, this wonderful divine connection has made itself known, and I call it love. So I allow love to just be the atmosphere of this room this evening, and it just expands more and more and more and more from that one place, that wonderful place called now. So with that, I simply just get out of the way and allow this evening to transpire, as together with such gratitude we shared the affirmation, and so it is.
Lights are going to go on. We wanted to start tonight with a reading from the Science of Mind textbook.
Do you guys need the
Just pass it.
the sarongs? Should I bring them out in case you? Okay.
That we saw last week. I don't know if it was one of the readings or I just turned to the page. It was either that or that. But we just thought it was pretty appropriate. It's on page 219. And, well, you'll see. Does everybody have one? It's not in that book. It's in the major textbook. So it's called Do Not Try to Go Beyond Your Understanding. I think it's helpful. Since our spiritual understanding is not sufficient to enable us to mentally set bones, we call in a surgeon. Since we cannot walk on water, we take a boat. We can only go as far as our spiritual knowledge takes us. Principle is infinite, but we shall demonstrate its power only at the level of our concept of it. Every day we have the announcement from scientists that they have made new discoveries, laws which have always existed, but which have not yet been utilized. Do not let anyone discourage or belittle your efforts by asking, why don't you walk on the water? Jesus did. Do not be sidetracked by any of these futile suggestions, these mental obstructions which an unbeliever would seek to throw in your path. If we had the understanding which Jesus had, we would be able to walk on water, and I'm not at all confused by the fact that we do not do this today. Someday one will come along who knows how to walk on water, walk on or over water. We are probably on the verge of a great spiritual awakening. People are so tired of looking for things where they do not exist that they are going to more and more completely open their thought to the realization that spirit is an active presence. But if we spend our entire time trying to find out why it does not work, we shall never find out how and why it does work. Arguing is often a waste of time. Somehow, there must come to each individual an interior conviction that we are one with the universe and that the spirit flows through us at the level of our recognition and embodiment of it. For this is the way, the truth, and the life. People say, I can't take off my glasses. Well, then wear them. But begin to make the declaration that there is one perfect vision seeing through you. This is the truth. If this statement becomes a subjective realization, you will be healed, will no longer need glasses. If a plaster will relieve it, use it. If a pill does any good, take it. But gradually try to lead the thought form where it is into the higher realms of consciousness where the soul recognizes its own I amness. Suppose one is unable to convince himself of the truth of the statement which he makes. How is he going to bring himself to a place of belief? This is the one I want you to listen to. By repeating his affirmation, dwelling on its meaning, meditating upon the spiritual significance of it, until the subjective state of his thinking becomes clarified. This is the only reason for repeating treatments. For one treatment would heal if there were no subjective doubts. Repeated treatments induce within consciousness a definite concept of an already established truth, even though the fact may not yet have become objectified. This is why mental healing is scientific. There is no room for doubt in a treatment. Realize that you treat with your understanding. By your own choice, you decide to give a treatment, but the treatment becomes operative through the law. Never say, I'm not good enough to treat. In God, there is no good, better, or best. Do not allow yourself to become superstitious, for you are dealing with a normal, natural law in the mental and spiritual world. This law is just as real as any other known law. Never say, I'm not sure that I have enough power to treat. You can never heal with this mental attitude, for that implies that you think you are doing the healing. Rather say, as I let fall the forms of my thought, they are operated on upon principles in which I believe. This is the law of God, the law of man, the law of the universe. Never say or think, this disease is hard to heal, while that presented yesterday was easy. If you find yourself saying this, at once heal yourself. Such a belief comes from the thought that we are dealing with a limited power, and that such a power knows degrees of discomfort. The truth is that there is but one power, and that power knows only perfection. Yeah. Thoughts?
Written in 1920,
Questions?
by the way, and it still pertains to everything to this very moment that we're all sitting here, right? It's amazing to me.
Yeah, to me the most important things about it is, first of all, the idea of not going past your understanding. Like, if we have to get anything, we need to get understanding. Once we get understanding, we start to embody these principles, we'll start to use them, right? But we have to start using them. But if it doesn't work right away, it's just because we haven't reached that level of understanding yet, and that's what we need to work on. So it's that idea of affirming and contemplating and changing our thought patterns, which is what, Dr. Joe is talking about, the same exact thing. So like when he says that, we can say, oh, I'm positive, everything's great, but underneath there's all this, I point here, but there's all this subjective stuff going on that's saying, no, I'm a loser, blah, 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 right? So, and never feel bad about where you're at, because there is no bad or good. You're just we're at where we're at. We're all at where we're at. And I think it's true when not that it's important to walk on water, but if we had the understanding of somebody that could walk on water, we would walk on water. We just watched The Matrix, which was and I don't remember if you remember the scene with the spoon, but he goes, the problem is you're trying to bend the spoon when there is no spoon.
Because you are the spoon.
Right. So
You are the spoon.
we were looking at it for spiritual cinema, and then we realized it was a great movie, but it was a little too violent. But
and it'll be distracting for the people that are coming, because when you see a lot of violence after a while, then you forget all of the
stuff
greatness
that's
that is.
underneath.
I wanted to mention this thing about glasses that Rita and I were talking about. It's so interesting to me because I was saying to Rita, I know exactly why about the glasses, because for me to sit in meditation and realize my eyes are perfect vision, I know that, this seems to be easier. And that's where I think that there is something to be known. Because we talk about pills, people taking pain pills. The reason or pain pills are to get out of the pain. The reason to get out of the pain is so that you can think clearly. But unfortunately, sometimes that the pain or the pill is just easy. It's just like putting on this. Do I really want to take the time to remember my clear vision, or do I just want to put on the glasses and get on to my next thing? The same thing with, do I really want to walk on water, or do I just want to take a boat? The boat is much easier and quicker for me. So the point I'm making is I thought, oh, that's what happens when we're in pain. We get out of pain, but then we say that the pill, is the source, is the relief. That becomes my demigod. And then that's how we get addicted, we get all this. This becomes, because I really do believe that the only reason for us to take any form of medication or anything is to get back so we can remember who we are, so we can do the work in order to free ourselves of it. But it's very easy in today's world to just, numb out or whatever it is that and that's not bad or good. It's just the way it is. But I really thought of this. I told Rita, I said, I have perfect vision, but this seems so much easier to put it on when I read.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. And I want to say one more thing after that, and then we're going to move on. Go ahead.
It seems to me that it has something to do with our desire to change, whatever it is. If we don't have that intense, what Ernest Holmes calls the fire behind our treatment, I really want this to shift, we don't put the energy into the spiritual mind treatment that will cause the shift. So wearing glasses isn't a big deal for me. If it was a big deal for me, I would have energy behind it that would change my vision. But when I'm in a lot of pain or I can't pay my mortgage, that has a lot of energy for me. And I'm going to have that power behind my treatment that will change things right now. So I think it has to do with whether it's a big deal for the person or not.
And I also think, too, when he's saying that about the glasses, it's like, yeah, use the glasses, but don't forget who you are. Don't
Right.
forget
That's the
that you are
key.
perfect vision and that you're using the glasses, and that's all fine and good. And it's like you said, maybe it's not that important, but never forget that you are perfect vision no matter what.
Right.
And I think he uses the glasses example because he did heal himself from using glasses. I think that was one of his things. But yeah, no, you're totally correct, Diane. When it's important enough to us, we're gonna make the shift. I mean, it's been happening a lot lately.
We said it
where
last
it just
week.
happens quick now because you're just like, I've had it. Enough is enough. This is wrong. it needs to shift right now, and it does. And I think also on the bottom of the page where he talks about arguing as opposed to why, like spending your time arguing why it doesn't work instead of trying to figure out making it work, trying to figure out why it does work. It's just a subtle change in your mindset, you know? And so what's the difference between arguing and questioning? I think there's a big difference between that, but I mean, is there a difference between questioning truths or questioning ideas or arguing them? I think.
Well, arguing will shut us down.
Yeah.
And so nothing can come in the field in order to do that, because the arguing is usually, at least for myself, arguing is so that I can be right. Or that I can argue long enough that I won't have to get to the business of actually doing it. So it becomes a procrastination for me sometimes.
And then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, just, one thought, and it comes into what we were talking about before. For me, the profound aha is the thought directs, but it's the emotion that creates. So arguing is more powerful than questioning, because arguing, there's an emotional investment. There's a bigger emotional wave, going out with the argument, whereas questioning, you're more in neutral. Yeah.
And like we said last week, it has to mean that much to you. That if I didn't get anything out of this week, and a lot's been going on, the thing I've got the most in my heart is we have to want it more than the other side. I mean, it has to, and it doesn't have to be painful. It doesn't have to mean I'm going to get this. It just means that it means more to me. Like Diane was saying, how important is it, with the glasses? Probably not very much today, because I have a whole list of other stuff that I think is so important. But never, as Rita said, to forget who, never forget who we are. But it has to be so important and not serious, but so important that nothing can ever come in our way. Nothing can, because we know who we are. Yes, Rita.
And then his steps on page 220 where he says, how you're going to bring yourself to a place of belief. You take your affirmation, you repeat it, but it's not just good enough to repeat it. You have to dwell on its meaning. You have to figure out, what does that affirmation really mean? Contemplate its meaning and meditate upon its spiritual significance. And that is how you're going to change the subjective thinking that you have. But if you just say the affirmation and it doesn't mean, you know what I mean? You're not thinking about it. You're just really sit there with the affirmation, whatever it is, and contemplate it and let it take over your being and just really, really take it into your meditation or whatever you're doing. So anyway.
We just
wanted
found
to
it.
do
We
it.
thought it was an important thing to kind of, because I think we all struggle with it at times, this very thing. How can we get to believe? How can we, or as I said last week, sometimes it's not that important to get to certain things, and that's good too. That's another day. It doesn't mean life's over. It just means that's where our life is. Yes.
Okay, so here we go. Anything that came up? That'll be the first thing. Anything this week that came up that you want to discuss? No? Okay, and then the other one was you took the quote and you gave your own words and then a practical application to life, and it was these quotes over here. Did
If you
anybody do
did.
it?
Some of you ran out ahead of the
Did
running
anybody
after.
want to just stab at it? We don't have to have everybody share.
Did anybody do this? I mean, yeah.
Ms. Lish, you want to share? Well, I'd like to hear
Yeah.
from somebody.
Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, so just my deduction,
Yeah.
the 130.3. So, basically, I am all there is. God, spirit, source, oneness, one mind, light, the universe, nature, whatever you want to call it. So I'm everywhere, in and through everything, diffused throughout all nature. All of me exists, whether you know it or not. I am always here, always radiating, always available. So this is God speaking, but I'm God, so I'm there. I have just to raise my eyes to see, emerge from my self-imposed blindness, feel the presence of God, know that I am there, and open yourself to me, open myself to myself. Turn to meet me. So the practical application would be when I feel alone, sad, and separate, just see myself in the little things, to know that God is here with me and in me. A bird flying, a flower blooming, the wind blowing, my heart beating. Go within or go without to find God. I am everywhere, and I can always, only and always say yes.
Thank you. You know, I was just thinking, because she didn't read it out loud, but listen to this. Because I am a perfect oneness, all of me exists everywhere. Wherever you recognize me, there I am. And whether or not you recognize me, I am still there. It is the glory of this recognition which has given to the enlightened true mastership. But just think if we really believed that. I mean, that it went kind of beyond the theory of it, and just, those are some pretty words and everything, and then really started to dwell into that. Can you imagine the day that when we wake up in that moment to go, holy crap, this is who I am. Everywhere I go, this presence is I can't even have a bad mood that it's not present. I can't do it. I mean, and you really dwelled, like what we were talking about, you really, I mean, I can already feel vibrations going through my body as I speak. But a lot of times, some of it is so much information, you know, all of this is like so much information that you're just like, I am one, I am something, I don't know what it is, but I'm exhausted thinking about it. And it's so true, that because if we really believe that, we'd be doing cartwheels right now. We'd be going, oh, you know, now tell me the truth, would we not? I don't know why I like doing that.
I like that. I'm really excited that you did that. I think it was the same one I had, and I didn't do it. But I got an aha. I had a friend transition when she was in her 30s, and the day after she left, I had an experience where I was outside, and in the dewdrops were rainbows, and I heard her say, I'm here, I'm everywhere. And then I felt the wind blow and touch me, and she whispered, I'm here. And there was an owl that had also left that night, and all the feathers blew to me and said, I'm here. And that was an experience I had, but now that comes into me physically anchoring, and I know it more for myself. So I tell the story so you can have it too.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that.
Well, I had quite an interesting experience this week. The last week when we did this meditation here, I fell asleep, so I didn't hear it. So I did it, you know, I downloaded it, I bought it, and I downloaded and started. I've been doing it all week. And the first time I did it, in the morning, when he's talking about going into your throat, it was like all of a sudden, all of this green energy started coming out, like shooting out of my throat. And I was like, whoa, you know, like I was in the flow of God, you know, I was in it. And then it went into my heart, behind your breastbone. And I felt all this energy coming out. And then between my shoulders, it was like my wings just popped. And I could feel them flapping energetically. I mean, it was just amazing. I was like, oh my God. I'm a God. You know, like I really felt like in the flow of the energy that is in us and around us all the time. And so now every time I listen to this meditation, it gets stronger and stronger. I mean, I literally tonight I was flying with my wings. I was flying through and around, and
That's
I
great.
mean, it's just
That's great. That's good.
whoa,
Any more on
powerful.
any more on these
I
points?
think people used to
Mrs.
do all
Bartlett's
that drug stuff to get that stuff that you're talking about. Whoa, right? Wow.
Yeah, mine, the one that I was given that I picked is the one about, I'm so nearsighted, I can't see. Oh, to solve the mystery of how can unity and multiplicity exist together without division. I actually had a demonstration of it today, and in a way that reminded me of Michelangelo in the Sistine Chapel, where you see just the finger of man reaching out to the finger of God. You know, I had gotten up this morning and I was late for something, so it was the first time I had not done. I didn't do my meditation, I didn't do my intent for the day, and the first thing that happened is I was naked when my very conservative housemate came in shocked that I was naked. So could already feel the day was off on a collywomp, right? And I get out in my car and I get to where I'm going and my car dies, okay? And so I call AAA, which you would think would be a good deal. Well, an hour and a half, I'm calling, because my phone's still California, and they'd get me to Hawaii, and then Hawaii would send me back to California. Hour and a half. Now, the first 5 times it happened, I'm staying in the field, you know, but the 6th and 7th time it happened, and I still haven't, I'm on the phone and still don't have somebody committed to the call. I got triggered. I mean, I was getting really triggered, and I went into a separated state of being where I felt like I had to control, okay? And I brought my old executive stuff came out, like I have to control this, and I have to use the power of my voice to convince somebody to do something, you know? And I noticed how I was feeling, and my intention for this class, as I've said, I've owned, it was a big one. It's like to be steady in peace and joy no matter what happens around me, okay? So I'm on the phone with someone who says to me, well, the best we've got is someone who's now going to be there at 1:30, and it was currently 11. And I'd already been on the phone for an hour and a half. Well, that didn't land very well, but I noticed how I was feeling, right? And so I couldn't do it well. I didn't do it well. I didn't have an angel flying thing, but I did put my hand on my heart, and I did remind myself who I am. And I hadn't shifted all the way into anything, but I was shifting, do you know? And I aligned enough, because I apparently have done enough work, that 5 minutes later, a tow truck showed up that hadn't even been called, and and a whole bunch of other miracles happened, just boom, 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 boom. So, and I was meditating about this, and what I got is, you know, in the multiplicity, we're either in the illusion of separation or we're in the experience of the oneness, right? And so if I choose to align myself with God, then what happens is my heart and the heart of the one are aligned, and there is only one, which means it's one huge symphony. And what I get called to do is in harmony with what she and she and she and she and infinitely and the wind and the trees. And it's all a symphony where each note is doing their thing because we're listening here.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I got.
Elizabeth, and then we will, thank you, Elizabeth, and we'll move on. That's very
Okay, I'll
nice.
be quick.
Great.
Well, in the meditation tonight, with the space around the shoulders, my wings popped out as well. It was really cool. So, all of me exists everywhere. I was at the car mechanic, and they were just about to do the diagnostic, and I'm standing there looking at the car, and the thought comes into my mind, God is everywhere right now. And I got tingles. I just felt this energy flow through my body. And 5 minutes later, the guy comes in, he says, oh, a couple of light bulbs, cost $5. Wow.
Those are the kind of diagnoses that we like, don't we?
It is.
Yeah.
When in doubt, just treat. And the treatment can be just, I know God is everywhere, and that's all you need to know, right? Let's go back. Okay,
Great, you
so,
guys.
all right, you were supposed to come back with 3 easy steps to overcome time, body, and environment applying to life. Did anybody have their 3 easy steps? Somebody that hasn't had a chance yet to talk?
Oh, yeah.
Loretta looks like she wants to say something.
Sure, it's pretty simple. The step 1 is to stop, pause, be still internally or externally or both. And then step 2 is to take a deep breath, maybe 2 or 3 or more, sit up tall, move consciously into myself, into my higher being, and then I move out all negativity, which could be anything, stress, you name it. and then come home to myself. And I can do that within just, a couple of seconds. And then step 3 is to go deeper into that experience, is to close the eyes and meditate on gratitude for what I am experiencing in this moment and focusing on what I want versus what I don't. And I think I did that, like, the more I've been doing that, this morning maybe as an example of that, I have a roommate who has a puppy, and the puppy is not completely potty trained yet, although I think it should be. And she's not real good about cleaning up after this dog. So, like, I just keep praying for her, and she knows that she needs to take care of this dog. And so I went into the kitchen to say good morning and move on with my day. And the dog had peed, and I had slipped on it, and I just flew underneath myself and just completely lost my step and fell. And had a half a second of wanting to be really mad. But then what took over was just like taking a deep breath and going, she's just doing the best she can. Like that, I know I'm doing the work when I have experiences like that, and that I can come from a place of love and be loving to my own body too, instead of like, well, here I am hurt and being pissed off about that, or right, instead, and just having a completely different experience. So that's all.
Wow.
That's pretty spiritually mature.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn the air conditioner a little.
Down, yeah.
Go ahead, Patrick. Oh.
Mine were amazingly similar. For me, I have to like come up with a keyword. So my step 1 is I say the word ah out loud, because that's me witnessing something that's moving, a thought that's separated or a feeling that isn't peaceful. So ah. And so in the act of saying ah, I shift from believing what I'm thinking to watching what I'm thinking, or believing what I'm feeling to watching what I'm thinking. So ah. And then the second is from heart math, but you had the same thing. Heart math's done research, and I put my hand on my heart, and I do 5 counts in breath, 5 counts out breath. Okay, that's my step 2, because that brings you into coherence. It brings your heart into coherence. And then my step 3 is what I call the antidote thought, which is the same thing you did, okay? So if I had a judgmental thought come up, then I go into compassion or forgiveness. If I can't find an antidote really quickly, my fallback is always, I am so loved. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am so loved, whether I'm seeing it or not.
We should write these down and put them somewhere for everybody.
It's interesting, Loretta, when you were talking about falling, and the pee and going that, all of a sudden it was interesting. I had the feeling that I wanted to cry. And it's because if you can find compassion in the midst of dog pee and being on your back through it, then we're doing the work. It's really nice when I'm sitting by the ocean and I'm feeling, the breeze coming through me, and I'm making love with the wind, and it's just lovely, and it makes for great storytelling, and I love it too. But the reason I wanted to cry was because it was in a feeling of, wow, it's when we've fallen on our ass and we can breathe in that moment that we're truly not better, worse, anything, but truly connected, that nothing can touch us when we can be in those moments. So thank you. I just really hit home when, plus the visual was quite, quite interesting. Yeah, I bet you were at that moment.
No, okay. All right, so tonight is core concept 5, and we're going to do 5 and 6 too. So this is core concept 5. This is a universe of wholeness, allness, oneness. Spirit is a transcendent, perfect whole that, in its infinite inclusivity, harmoniously embraces all opposites. Each human being this is how it works. Each human being is endowed with free will and can choose to experience freedom or bondage, abundance or lack, joy or misery, all of which lie in the infinite inclusivity of God. So speak among yourselves.
So how it's going to work, just so you'll know, because I already did these, we're going to do a threesome right here, and then 2, Ronnie and Reverend Diane, 2, 2. Yeah, just like we do, we in your own words, come in. When does the clay thing? Probably after break. Is that the core concept?
We start the quote.
You think we can get them done by 7:30?
Yeah, I think so. If we don't go Friday.
Yeah. That's all we do.
Intense story.
Yeah, it made me cry. I don't know why. I didn't feel sorry. You can take the time in the midst of sun reaction. I react. Everybody's doing the best they can. He's doing the best he can. And it's not because he hates us. Just like, wow. Yeah, because we can think it's going to disappear. It's a really good, because I wanted it to go away without me having to confront it.
All right.
Take
What do you
another
got
30
for us?
seconds and wrap her up.
We just need to.
We have to do 6.
All right. All right. Well, it's such a great thing because it's just like everything's here and we get to choose what it is, every emotion, everything. I always do that.
It's so funny. I would never have known there were words there until you pointed them out. All righty.
All right. What do you
So,
got?
What do you got? Yes.
Wait, hold
Okay,
on.
we're
All
back.
right, everybody, we're back.
The question is, yes, how it works, but what if
Everybody, we're back. We're back. We're back.
what if we get so lost that we can't even remember to go to the other side? And we're just caught in, say, worry and doubt.
Are you saying that if you know all this, like
Yeah.
you're not just some person on the street who doesn't
Yeah.
doesn't have any
No,
idea?
me personally.
Well, yeah.
Couldn't even find myself yesterday.
Okay, so usually you call a practitioner.
I
You
couldn't
take a
even-
few
I
deep breaths and
Didn't
you-
even
Yeah.
think of that.
If it's so bad that you can't, like even Adara, that moment, that would be a good moment to call somebody that you know that can center you,
Yes.
you know, and then follow all the things we've said, take a deep breath, but sometimes you can't get there yourself. It's happened to me at crucial times in my life where I could not get there, and I just got on the phone and called somebody that I knew I could trust, a practitioner, and said, please do a treatment for me right now. I cannot think. And so it can happen when you're in the middle of a crisis of some sort, and you're going to need somebody.
Like-
It's okay. That's what it's about.
What you said tonight, I wrote down, was so healing. There's no way we can disconnect. Because I felt like I lost.
Yeah, and sometimes you can't get to that place though, but you know what I mean, on your own. So, but maybe that will help next
That
time.
you're not disconnected. And this is for everybody. When you get in a, when we forget who we are, jump on the phone. And here's the deal about treatments too. If you jump on the phone, you call 808-431-1700, which is the work phone. And we're not picking it to sell, so we do pick it up. But if we don't pick it up, just go. And it's only her and I that is going to, just go. You know what? I forgot who I am right now, and I just need that. I'm going to tell you the treatment begins the moment that you ask for it. The moment that you reach out, the energetic field has already begun. We know it's like going to a doctor, right? Like, and then on the way to the doctor, the moment you get in the doctor's office, you're like,
Oh, I
is
feel
there a
better
reason why
now.
I'm feeling better and nothing's happened?
Oh.
It's because we've made an active.
Also,
thing.
you have all the numbers of every practitioner.
Yeah.
You should have all the numbers of every practitioner and minister here. They're on the back of the practitioner folder. Yeah, get them. They're on the back of the brochure. Here they are, Diane. Oh. Except for we have to get Stephanie.
Okay, I
She's
just had
no
this
longer
really
on there.
big epiphany as we were talking in our little group. It's kind of like, this whole, the opposites, the polarity, that the universe only sees the wholeness. And that's all it is. It's kind of like joy and misery. Joy and misery is the same, two ends of the bar. Right. So it's like at any given moment, we're like at a different, we're on the bar. So we can never be lost. It's just a matter of where we are on the bar.
Right.
And my feeling is the more I go to these extremes, but the more I gravitate in the center. And we're talking about being a hula hoop. Like if we're in our hula hoop, we're whole because, we're sort of centered in ourselves. But the more we can, the thing is like you really can't be nobody can be lost because we're just somewhere on the bar. So the more we're in the center, the more we can see things from an elevated perspective, I think, and more grounded.
I really noticed, though, just the repetition of just these last, a month, it's happening. I get back in that space quicker. And I was sharing just real quick, just my thing is I always get pulled out by other people. And it's almost like an addiction. And this week I just really worked on pulling back. And then I get back to that zone. And it's just peace. It's, that's all I want.
Wonderful.
That's all I
Yeah.
want.
Well, it is, and it takes, that's what this is all about. It takes
Yes.
practice. It takes practice.
Yes. One more and then we'll
One
move
more.
because we got to do 6.
Repetition,
Yeah.
repetition.
Well, there was something in what she shared that I really wanted to say. What was so significant for me about what happened today, I've had demonstrations where I was really doing my spiritual stuff, where I was really in my sweet spot. What really hit me today was I barely moved. I was barely moving out of control and ego into just the act that I had recognized it and put my hand on the heart and started to make the move. My past practice apparently was enough because then the miracles started showing
Right,
up.
right.
And I found that so incredibly inspiring that I don't have to be perfect because I'm not always going to be really great at it. Do you know what I mean? If I can just remember.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
It's
perfect.
What do they say? The little girl who I just always love. I think Brene Brown told it actually. The little girl who came in, the teacher was mad at her because the place was a mess, and she said, "You are a mess." And the little girl said, "I may have made a mess, but I am not a mess." And so that's what I think we'll remember. We can make messes all the time, but who we are is not that. But we're making a mess, but underneath it all is this power that we're talking about.
And we're at choice.
Course
Always.
concept 6.
Okay. This is a universe of infinite abundance. Spiritual, mental, and physical. This bounty of spirit, this allness of good is limitless and can never be exhausted or depleted.
Cartwheel, doesn't it make you want to do a cartwheel?
It cannot be used up. The infinite bounty of spirit is the birthright of every human. I am a child of God, thus I am an heir to all the good there is simply because of who I am.
Okay,
So it's
back
it's not-
back in your
it's not-
corners.
back in your pods for a minute. Just give it to us like in one
Come out
sentence.
flying.
How about one sentence?
Yeah,
that
one
just
sentence.
capsulizes
Yeah.
that. You really believe that? You would never, ever want. That's like an affirmation to affirm. So if I don't like I am a child of God.
we were back to back these days. We have a busy schedule as well. We have to be one step ahead of everything that's occurring right now. And so I need to know, just like tonight, Sunday, if I had known that, it was set up before we went. When we walked in, it would have been all set up. And so that's why I need to know, not because you're doing anything wrong, just that
He's just getting burnt out.
I know.
We need, you know. He's getting burnt out for a lot of reasons.
Seconds.
30 seconds.
I like these breakouts because whether or not we hear it or not, they're getting discussing.
Let's try this next one. Let's just try you just talking about, remember the whole thing about personality. Feel fun with it.
Oh, I'm gonna let them know we have a couple of projects.
All right, guys. Bring us back one sentence.
So
One
10,
sentence.
9,
This
8,
group.
7, 6, one sentence.
One sentence
One
from this group.
sentence.
Who wants to
She
do
just
it?
spoke.
I don't know what our sentence is.
Okay, well, we'll go here and then you guys.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my goodness.
All right.
That's oh my goodness.
All
I
right.
heard
Well,
somebody said they were doing a cartwheel. I want to know what group was doing it. Oh, was that you guys? I have dad ears.
I don't know, you know, God is in every fiber and cell and atom of everything, everywhere. It's just here, and we are all part of that. There's no separation.
How does that make you feel?
That gives me chills.
another sentence.
Oh, I would just say all is well and I'm happy.
Well, that's a good place to be.
This is like a perfect affirmation to like, what, you know, that thing where you contemplate it, meditate on it, and affirm it. You'd be amazed what could happen, right? Go.
I have access to it all because I'm intimately connected to it all.
Yes.
This group? The Emma group?
The Emma group.
Well, the infinite bounty of spirit is the birthright of every human. And honestly, I've been thinking so much about Donald Trump in a new way. I've been feeling compassion. He also has that birthright. But, I mean, for whatever reason, maybe, I mean, he doesn't seem to see it. But I've just been thinking a lot about that and feeling differently toward him. Not angry and like, oh, what a jerk. You know, none of that. It's just like, oh my gosh, this person needs our love, needs our compassion. And so this has just been like the last 2-3 days. Like, oh,
That can do more for healing the whole thing than anything else. You can't heal something from the consciousness that created it. So what's the alternative, right? Doesn't mean you don't do your due diligence in your action and your voting and all that stuff, but but still, hatred's not going to get it any further.
This concept helped me really break down the lie that I had believed that we've built up all this bad karma and baggage that we don't deserve the instant redemption, like infinitely, like that we limit the power of God in creation because we don't feel like we can just have what we deserve, the bounty of God, right? And so that's kind of what this concept was for me, like.
That's
We
beautiful.
deserve infinite.
And also, I had a discussion with somebody the other day about this.